Guys, and all welcome back to another video. In this video, we'll be going through the last game recap of round one, where the Eagles got absolutely demolished by the Gold Coast Suns. And yeah, it makes me pretty confident about the Suns this year that they went to West Coast and they absolutely demolished them. I'm pretty sure they have some other away games that they can easily pick up, and we know that they have a fortress at home. So just looking at it, they go to Melbourne, the MCG this week against Melbourne. That'll be tough. Then they have Adelaide at home. Then they play North away from at Barossa Park. I believe that is that's the gather round. Then they have the Richmond game at Marvel. And then they have the Swans at the the People's First Stadium, and then they have the Gabba, TAO, and the Marvel. So they have quite a few winnable games away from home this year. Just looking at it, they've got Essendon, they've got St Kilda, they've got Adelaide could be tough, but they've got Richmond as well. That's already 3 or 4 winnable games away from home. I feel like they also have Port Adelaide. That could be in the last game of the year. That could be interesting because that could be a fight for top 8 potentially for them, whereas Port Adelaide could be just in the transition period with from Hinkley to Carr, I think it is. But anyway, I spent too much time there. And talking about the Eagles, we could probably fly through this one. They are the most irrelevant fantasy team, I would say. Overall, SuperCoach, very similar, I would say, aside from maybe 2 mid-price rookie players, etc. But Graham, he's not going to do that every week, I can tell you that. Tom Cole, the same thing. Matt Flynn, a 73-87 on 13 hitouts. Obviously not a fantasy pick. I'm talking about SuperCoach here with the 87 here. I think if he can hold that number one ruck role, it's going to be very, very good cash generation. And I'm just going to show you this on SuperCoach, and I'm going to quickly flick to players here so that I don't show you guys too much. I could probably do this another way, but anyway. Flynn here, he's been in my flex and will continue to be in my flex unless they bring in Williams, the Williams trio or duo or whatever. There we go, make this a little bit bigger for you guys. But let's say he just goes 85 because he's got Brisbane. Freo, he's going to dominate the hitouts to advantage, I feel like. But if he can hold for the next little bit, he's going to probably get some juicy matchup. Brisbane, he could probably still, Grundy got 35 hitouts. Flynn could easily get 20 hitouts there. Witts is probably one of the hardest matchups to go against. And look at this, 85, 85, 85, 85. If he was to do this, suddenly in round 6 or 7, you're looking at a 400k guy. That's almost upgradable territory with a rookie that's 350k potentially, something like that. If you potentially get a rookie that's 350k, you can get him already up to the ruckman that you want. Say, let's go, and I'm just going to provide an example here. Let's go to Boyd for a second here and go to what he's doing. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. He went 63 against Adelaide, which is a tough-ish matchup. Maybe he goes 65 for the rest of the year, right? 65. And we said around, round 8 or so that Flynn was 400k? Look at this for Fremantle. For Boyd around that round 8. He's at 305k. You're getting 180k from a Boyd, and then putting it on Flynn's head if Flynn's going 85, which we expect them both to have some juiced matchups. Like Harry Boyd could realistically do this in these 2 matchups. I feel like he could do something like that. Port Adelaide, that's a tough matchup. GWS, that's tough. English, he could go 80, but then he might also get dropped at this point here. But say he was to do that, suddenly by round 8 instead, he's now already at 300k, 312k, and then he slows down a little bit, etc, etc. But if he just has a baseline of 65 with a couple of peak games, he's getting to 300k by round 8. Suddenly Matt Flynn, with the 85 projection, which we expect him to do better against the likes of Fremantle, let's just put it like that. And then against Carlton, TDK, I feel like he's going to do that. And then I think that's pretty fair for what he's going to do. Suddenly by round 8, he's 423k. and you're looking at 423k plus 190k, maybe you have somehow got 20k in the bank, and suddenly your flex position now is that third ruckman already, and you've got it from basically your spare 2 rucks, your R3 and your R4 almost in a way. So yes, I do think Flynn, if he can hold that role, and if Boyd can hold the role till round 6 or so, that's where you're getting that major cash. As you start to see that around 7 and 8, 33k, you may only make about 50k between the two of Flynn and Boyd in that time, which isn't as much. So yeah, that's what I'd say about Flynn, is I'm very, very encouraged if he can hold the role that he will do really well. As I think also in the last quarter that they were trialing stuff. They were down like 60, 70 points at 3/4 time or something dumb like that. Let's look at it here. They were down 9 goals 6 at 3/4 time, which is 60 points. And then they proceeded to lose the last quarter, 6 goals 5 to 2 goals 2. What's that? 4 goals 3. They lost the last quarter by a further 27 points. So they were trialing stuff in the last quarter. If you look at the ruck contests, etc. like that. Let me look at let me see if I can bring it up. The ruck contests overall, Flynn had 80, Archer Reed had 28. But if you look at the last quarter, Flynn had 12, Archer Reed had 10. So Archer Reed had 10 of his 28, which is like, what's that, 40% or something? Or just shy of 40%, like 37% of his overall ruck contest in the fourth quarter. And then if you look in the third quarter, he also had 10. So he had 20 of his 28 in the second half. If you look in the first half, he had 3, and then he had 5. So it was a, 46 to 8 split in the first half. Which 46 to 8 split, that is 85% territory there, I believe. Or 90% territory there for Flynn. So, in terms of ruck contest. So, I'm not too worried about that. Second half, they were trialing stuff. They were already down a huge amount at halftime, weren't they? They were already down 7 goals 3 at halftime, which is 45 points. They were already dead, basically, at halftime. Hutchinson, I've spoken about Flynn for about 5 minutes. So let's just whip through the rest of this. Duggan, no. Baker, that would be interesting if he can score better in terms of fantasy, but SuperCoach as well, that's an alright, but I don't expect him to have that ratio. That's hard to maintain, as that's like a 1.7, 1.8 ratio, which most guys like Dacos, who's a really good, can be really good and stuff like that. They hold about 1.4, 1.3, so yeah, that's going to come down to earth, I think. Hoff, Allen, Owens, Elijah Hewitt, he'll get better, I think. 73% told, 47-52. He's been injured in preseason, so I'm not too worried about this. I think he just improves, and there's probably a slow burn with a good role that could easily have a 60, 70, 80 game in him, especially in the forward line with the half forwards that we're looking at. That Hall could drop a 30. I think this is sort of Hewitt's floor game of 47 or so. And then that's pretty much it. Yeah, that looks about it. Marek wasn't that good in that halfback role. It felt like, I think he was in the halfback role, could be wrong. As he had 33% as a sub. So yeah, that sub role ruined him. Then we go over to the likes of Gold Coast. Jared Blitz, when you have 68 hitouts, you have 68 free points. So he had over half his points in hitouts. So I don't expect him to do that well in the long run. But he just had one of those games where he just dominated. Noah Anderson, absolutely dominant again as well. Him and Matt Rowell seemed to do it really early on in the year. And yeah, they just, look at this clearance battle. They had 29, 34 between the top 3. Whereas if you look at the clearance, and I don't know if that's done anything. No, it hasn't. The most that someone from the Eagles had was 4 with Flynn and Hewitt. So yeah, that's not the best. You can see that Flynn, Hewitt, and Kelly had 4, so they had like the top 2 for Gold Coast in in Miller and Rowell had more combined than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the top 5 for West Coast. So that just shows the disparity there before even including the likes of Anderson and Witts and Bailey Humphrey, etc. So, Rowell, Anderson, etc. Tug Miller did pretty well, a 95, 1-2-8 split. I'm just a little bit worried that he's the third guy in there, so it's kind of going to restrict him to 90, 110, 90, 105 type of splits, which just isn't good enough for top end. Ben King took the piss on the West Coast lineup, but we've seen that happen for years, so that's always going to happen with their key defender stocks. Bailey Humphrey, 66, 104. I just don't think he holds the split there. He was really, really efficient. But yeah, I think he has an inefficient game and that just stuffs over him. Ethan Reed, same thing pretty much. He was the better secondary ruck there out of the two. And it just shows sort of these younger rucks. Archer Reed, Ethan Reed, and then also like Will Green. Will Green battled against Ethan Reed in preseason, probably did him over. So the fact of the matter is that, yeah, you can just see the levels to it there. Will Green is a number one ruck who was playing secondary in that game that they had in the preseason, but he did get over Ethan Reed, and Ethan Reed had a field day on the weekend, 10 touches, 3 marks, 2 tackles, 9 hit-outs, 2 goals, 2. He's not going to do this regularly, so I wouldn't be picking him. Ben Long, 4 goals and probably goal of the year so far, I would say. Joel Jeffries, Daniel Rioli, and sort of John Noble did exactly what we thought they'd do, very, very similar to their output at their previous club, so no go there. And then with no rookies, it's kind of very, very nothingness, I would say, for Gold Coast at the bottom end. So out of this, basically, I only took out of this that Rao's going to go 130 for the first about 6 games and then fall off. Noah Anderson hopefully can really have a consistent year because he's definitely an upgrade target. And then Matt Flynn, hopefully he can hold the role. And Elijah Hewitt, hopefully he has a better game in him. But other than that, there's nothing much for this game. There was 2 kind of non-rookie sides, I would say almost in a way. And we wait for, I think it's Bo Allen next week. Hopefully we get him. But we'll just wait and see on that front. But anyway, if you guys did enjoy that recap, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload. If you are listening on Spotify, give me a rating and a follow over there. And I'll see you guys for the trade target videos coming up in a little bit. So I'll see you guys then. Bye, guys.